Hi everyone, welcome to Active Self-Protection Extra at C2 Tactical in Scottsdale here with Tim Forsey, who, again, criminal defense attorney extraordinaire, firearms instructor, CCW instructor, use of force expert. I want to talk with Tim about this is a little small factor in the recent incident in Twin Falls, Idaho, is that Jordan Salinas, who, God bless his heart, okay, was incredible at he heard gunshots and moved to the sound of gunfire. Freaking nothing but props from me.
Amen.
With an FN 5.7 with a can on it, a suppressed firearm. This guy does a lot of NFA trusts. That's kind of his stock in trade. I want to talk to him. We haven't talked this through ahead of time. So one of the things that we do here at ASP is we don't script this stuff out and talk about it. Tim was like, hey, John, do you want to talk about the suppressor on Salinas' gun in the Twin Falls incident? And I said, yes. I got a couple of things in particular, 2 points that I want to ask him about. So let's talk about it.
To win the fight after the fight, you need help. After a use of force, I trust Firearms Legal Protection to help me win the fight for the rest of my life. From their 24/7 attorney-answered hotline to coverage for the use of all legal tools, Firearms Legal Protection has you covered. Get a discount by signing up at the link below.
So my first thing on this, Tim, is I hear a lot of people, I've heard this several times. Well, if you use an NFA item in self-defense, you're going to get charged with a crime.
Yeah. If that were true, I think there'd be a lot fewer Title II firearms out there. So my caveat would always be this. For home defense, load up, man. If you want to use a belt-fed M60 in your safe room with a suppressor on it, I'm not sure. If you got your Maudus in there, make sure that there's a good background, a good backdrop. But because they're in your home, and I don't think anybody is going to second guess you. And there are a lot of very, very strong tactical reasons that a suppressor makes a lot of sense in a defensive situation indoors, right? The average number of home invaders is 2.8. So the first guy that I shoot, if I shoot him with an unsuppressed AR-15, I may very well be out of that fight now, right? I could have a punctured eardrum.
Overpressure.
I get it. Because, we've all stood next to some idiot that shot off an AR-15 in the desert when we were chatting, we had our ears off, right? That's in the desert. That's with a ceiling that's, 100,000 feet above you. Yeah. Try that in your foyer where there's a satin white painted ceiling a foot above your head, and it will knock you to your knees. It will literally, I've had a client that ruptured his eardrum. I haven't had a client, but I've heard stories of it ruptured your eardrum and then it caused inner ear disruption, and now you're literally vomiting all over everywhere. You are out of the fight. So there are very strong tactical reasons and that bleed over into legal reasons why suppressed firearms for home defense weapons make a lot of sense. As far as SBRs, if I've got a 16 or a 20-inch AR with a 10-inch can on that, it sometimes becomes unwieldy and the weight is thrown off. You cut that back to a 12-inch gun and suddenly you've got a 16-inch gun with a suppressor. So there's a lot of things to be said for SBRs and suppressors for in-home defense. I'm a huge advocate. All of my home defense weapons. Those are quick too. So all of my home defense weapons are suppressed, and I recommend to everybody out there that you do the same. Yeah. So for self-defense purposes outside of the home, it gets a lot muddier quickly. It just looks, dare I say, it's kind of like using a knife. It just sometimes it tends to look offensive rather than defensive. Yeah. You look like you're a member of the Sopranos crew, right? Not to mention, I haven't heard, but did Jordan, was it a quick attach can and he was carrying the FN in a regular holster, or did he have a giant thigh holster?
He was carrying it in a shoulder holster.
And again, love the guy. Thank God he was there. Literally, thank God he was there. But the videos that I've seen that he was putting out, the training videos and stuff, I'm very happy, but somewhat surprised and amazed that the media hasn't decided to roast him, because he looks a little militaristic. He looks a little bit, mall ninja. And Jordan, I apologize because, like I said, I mean, thank God you were there. But if I was your image consultant attorney, I would say, you know what, we might want to tone this direction just a little bit. Blah blah blah. I think carrying a suppressed weapon in a shoulder holster is not something I would ever do, and it's not something I can recommend in good conscience. I just think it doesn't look right. And I apologize if I'm offending people out there. I've seen how these cases play out. I've seen the public opinion. I've seen the way prosecutors feel about it. It just makes me nervous.
Well, and listen, he used it to try to stop a guy who actively has murdered some people.
I think he murdered 3 and severely wounded 9. Right?
Yeah, 7, I think. Yeah. And was still in the process of that, and was trying to actively murder more people down the street at the stoplight.
Yeah.
So So as righteous a defensive use of a firearm as exists, just absolutely righteous, just without question righteous. So that, I think, covers over any I don't love the optics of that.
It does, and it should.
And it should.
But that doesn't mean that we should all emulate those optics, because things can always go a little different than we want. So,
and so emulate his heart, just like I said in the why I don't love 5.7 by 28 video. Okay, so I recently made a video, not my first choice by a mile, especially he's running 55 grain subsonics in it, because now you got a 22.
Yeah, it is a 22.
Yeah, and so again, emulate his heart, emulate his courage, emulate his willingness to love his neighbor. Okay, don't emulate his gear choices.
Yeah, the reason that weapon was produced was to come up with a very light, flat shooting, armor piercing round that would pierce a NATO helmet at 100 yards.
For a tanker. Tankers.
And with the original ammunition it was designed for, it does that very well. When it first came out, I had some of that ammunition, and I remember I was at a match in Tucson, and we all wanted to see what it would do, and it went through every single body panel of a VW van.
Sure. Well, it was designed for an SMG. It was designed for a PDW.
For the P90,
Yeah, for the P90. It's designed for a 16-inch barrel. It's not designed for a pistol.
Right.
So again, emulate his heart, not his gear choices.
Right.
I do think the other part of that. So he uses a suppressor. I wonder, it's going to go into the evidence locker.
Sure.
And now you've got an NFA item in the evidence locker.
Right. I wonder if ATF's involved with that. Which form is that?
Which form is it from ATF?
Is that a 4? Is that a 5? I mean, the guy didn't die.
To get my suppressor back.
Correct. Yeah.
And is there even I see a lot of PDs, they're like, we don't even know how to do this.
It's amazing how many cops don't even understand what we're talking about when we talk about Title II firearms. Yeah.
So now I've got a Title II firearm in the evidence locker, which, cops are used to suppressors, right? They probably have a suppressor on their rifle. They should have a suppressor on their patrol carbine. But now how to get that back to you afterwards?
Yeah.
Is there a federal so now I got to get the ATF involved?
Yeah.
And it seems like a giant pain in the butt for an outside.
It certainly could be. If ATF wants to make it a giant pain in the butt, they certainly can. They could be cool about it, and it's almost like the suppressor's been sent back to the manufacturer for repair. Nobody gets too worked up about that, but
the ATF could be cool about it.
They could, and you know what? A lot of people give the ATF crap. In the past, I've not been a fan of ATF hierarchy, but most of the ATF agents that I've worked with, and administrative law judges that do administrative hearings with ATF, I have found are very reasonable people. I've had very, very good luck with them. Knock on wood. It could be changed tomorrow.
Last time I got a call from an ATF agent. This is John. You've gotten a call from an ATF agent? Yes. I got a delivery from HK of a whole bunch of VP9s, like 15 of them at
That
once.
will give a call. Yeah.
Yeah, because we were using them for loaner
use?
classes.
Yeah, for personal use, question mark?
Yeah. So I get a call from an ATF agent. So Mr. Correa, I see that you transferred 15 of the same SKU on one transaction. That smells to me like an unlicensed dealer. No, sir. I'm an idiot YouTuber. And a firearms instructor, and we're using these as loaners for class. Okay. Okay, so you're taking them to classes. Yeah, you can look me up I've got an online presence, and we're going to take them as loaner guns to classes that we teach, and I got a big box for them, so we've got them all organized, and so everybody can use the same guns. And he's like, okay, that makes sense. Have a great day. And that's the last time.
I had the flip side of the same coin. I had a client 10 years ago or so who was, I made the mistake of believing him, which I don't always do, but he was not running guns to Mexico. Well, of course he was. So his excuse was, no, I just collect Gen 3 Glock 19s. And he had, 3 dozen Gen 3 Glock 19s bought on the same day from 4 different dealers. And it was like, dude, I'm a gun collector. Nobody collects Gen 3 Glock 19s. No. Everybody's got one. Somebody got 2. Nobody's got 26.
Gun, comma, generic.
Exactly.
Yeah, not good. Well, so I don't think there's going to be, it's not a legal problem. He's not going to get prosecuted for using a suppressor because what he did was righteous. There's no crime being committed.
And he wouldn't. I don't think he's prosecutable for using a suppressor.
Right.
However, that can make decisions about prosecution in general. Like, is this guy a cowboy? Is this guy looking to cause problems? Is this guy out there, on the hunt?
In a case with some stink on it.
In a case with some stink on it, that can get you over the hump. That's my whole fear, right?
Yeah.
This case has
no stink.
This guy
negative stink.
The right hand of God, and thank God he was there, because I think he shortened the spree, and God knows how many lives he saved. Yeah.
And again, So if Mr. Salinas or his loved ones ever watch this, I got nothing but respect.
Amen.
Just nothing but respect. As a firearms instructor, I wouldn't recommend a suppressed 5.7 FN as a carry gun.
Nor would I.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend it. If I live on a ranch and I don't have access to a rifle in my 4x4 and I need to take a shot at a coyote 100 yards away, great round. Great round. It's a handgun that's got more reach than most. I'm fine with that.
Put the
But as far as
27s in
stopping
it, not
power,
the
yeah.
55s.
A guy that we both know and respect, who I've taken many classes from, and I won't mention his name because I'm not sure he would appreciate it, but he does at least 10 years ago, always did testing. He had access to a slaughterhouse, and they let him come in and shoot like 10 hogs that were going to be slaughtered anyway.
Okay.
And he used different calibers and used different aiming locations, and then timed the amount of time it took for the animal to become incapacitated, lose consciousness, and die, which was grisly as hell, but done scientifically. And I think so. I had a class, and we were sitting there chatting between class sessions. And I said, hey, did you do that with the 5.7 by 28 that just came out? He goes, oh, yeah. I said, how'd it go? Because I was expecting he was going to tell me, oh, it entered the head and exited the tail and dropped it like a bolt of lightning. And he said, I shot it in the head, and it just kind of looked up at me and said, oink.
Wow.
He said it took it, quite some time to be incapacitated.
Terrible.
It didn't do anything. Yeah. So from that point on, I realized, okay, cool round, not something I'm going to carry.
Out of a pistol, not great. Remember, designed for tankers, right? To have a PDW, something more than a 9 Luger, but not out of a 16-inch barrel.
Yeah.
So anyhow, don't worry about the suppressor part. Wouldn't recommend carrying a suppressor outside the home.
But put them in your home.
But for home defense, super, super useful.
Yep.
For police officers, for patrol carbines, where it is, again, on a secured gun that's kept in your cruiser and all that stuff, okay.
I was also happy when I saw that all of the officers that got involved in the chase in Twin Falls, every single one that I saw had a suppressed AR.
Yep,
which made me feel really, so okay, we're finally giving our guys some good equipment. We're treating them right. That was gladdening for me. Yeah.
So suppressors, good home defense.
Oh, one last thing about suppressors is that if you haven't ever shot one, shoot one. Find a friend that's got one and go to the range with them, because it just really does make the entire process of shooting more enjoyable, less stressful, especially for new shooters. That it just takes away concussion and noise. It just
watch the video that we have on the channel of me shooting the Salvo 12 on my shotgun. I call it a giggle switch. It's just an absolute giggle inducer. And an AR pattern rifle, it takes the overpressure away, and all of a sudden an AR is, the problem with AR is it's not that it recoils, and almost no recoil at all, but it's so loud. The overpressure is huge, and it just completely muffles the overpressure, and it just makes it a significantly different.
Also the most efficient muzzle brake there is. It takes away a lot of recoil. So there's every reason to get a suppressor. They're not just toys. They really are a helpful tool, and if you've never tried one, try one.
Yep.
Yeah.